All right, well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. Today we're joined by Mr. Brad Connors, and we're talking about love being in the air. Always a favorite topic of MUA.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the old TV show where it was, the Love Connection. That's what it was. That's what
I never saw that.
We're not doing
I'm
that
too
today.
young.
We're not doing that today, are we? No.
When people get married, Brad, what do they need to be thinking about from a 20,000-foot overview of marriage, right? Not like their relationship, but rather financially.
Yeah, I wanted to be a priest back in the day, so we could talk relationship.
Let's save that for a different podcast.
I'm kidding. Trudy might have a problem with that, too. Yeah, when it comes to finances and marriage, like I've seen it all. I've seen it all through the decades that I've worked in finance. I guess the most successful that I've seen is it needs to be an open book.
Okay. I
have seen couples get into marriage and all of a sudden there's a bill out there that they didn't know about or a student loan that they didn't know about. And I feel when somebody's going to get married, the truth will set you free, Matt. I think number one is the truth, you know. It just has to.
So don't lie to your spouse. All right, this is good. Yeah. We're making with Counselor Brad. We're making progress.
Exactly.
Don't lie to your spouse.
Especially about money too, right? So, but then the other thing is who's going to pay the bills?
Okay.
Like you're used to paying your own, and she's used to paying her own, and what's that look like? So, who's going to manage the checkbook?
Okay.
You know, in our household, because I worked in finance, it was me. And then several years ago, I'm like, Trudy, can you take this over? 2 reasons. 1, I hated it. 2, it was good for her to understand where money was coming in and going out. Like I was always an open book on the investments and where things were, but it's been really good. And she's better at it than I was. But so it started with me, went to her. But anyway, you know, the husband or the wife, somebody's got to pick who's going to do the actual work of the finances. And then I think sitting down on a monthly basis to go through those finances is important. Have an app that you're using that has all your 401ks and everything going into that you can sit down and have like a balance sheet, Matt, that you can look at. There's all kinds of things out there. We have one at iWealth that we use. We call it iTrack. But, you know, have a living balance sheet that you can take a look at, but be intentional to talk about it. Yeah. You know, I don't know about you, but I've seen these couples that we're such a society today that we have to keep up with the Joneses, as we used to say, that, you know, we look at Instagram and the house and the purse and the glasses and the shoes and all that kind of stuff, that finances can get away. It's a huge deal.
Yeah. And that's trick. So the next piece of this is communication is key.
Yeah.
That's really the second point of what you're talking about.
Yeah. So be honest about your finances going in.
Yep.
Pick somebody that's going to take care of the finances, who's going to be responsible for day-to-day finances in the house.
Yep.
And then communicate. So important. On a monthly basis, sit down and open a checkbook up or look at your living balance sheet. Like, let's talk about 401ks and things like that. Because it used to be his and hers, and now it's ours.
Yep.
And then I've seen couples that have it's worked okay, where, you know, he has his checkbook, she's on it, she has her checkbook, he's on it, so if something happens to him, they're okay. But I don't like that as well as making it ours. Mm-hmm. You know, your 401ks and things need to be separate, but it's your money, right? I mean, if you get divorced or something happens or you separate, it's still your money and it's going to get split up. Like, I just like the communication where it's ours and we're going to work on this together, even though somebody's going to write the checks out every month or do bill pay or whatever they're going to do.
So I'm going to ask you a really hard question and we'll wrap up this episode.
Okay.
What do you wish at the beginning of your relationship with Trudy?
Yeah.
You know, 70 years ago or whenever you guys got married. You got married really early.
Right. Yeah, when we're 10.
When you were 10.
We dated in 2nd grade.
There you go. Yeah. But what do you wish that you would have done differently?
Yeah, I think the transparency was there. So the truth was there. We talked about that. Everybody knew where her finance were and where mine was.
Yeah.
I would have liked her to be involved from the get-go for paying bills and managing the checkbook.
Yeah.
And then
even if she didn't do the work, just being consciously aware of where the money was going.
Yeah, and quite frankly, when we first started in life, she was the breadwinner, you know, quite frankly. But yeah, just having her take care of that, just because I worked with finance doesn't mean I should manage a checkbook, right? So I think that, and then the communication. I think it was probably, we've been married 27 years. I think
Not 70 for the record.
Yeah, not 70. But I think probably 15 to 18 years ago, I started a spreadsheet that had all the finances on, that living balance sheet we talked about. And then we sit down, I do that in July and I do it in January. And then sit down and go through that with her. And then we talk about the checkbook all the time anyway, but I think, the truth stuff was there, but I think just having her do it and the communication was missing, if I could go back.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, if somebody wants a little help with this, would you be willing to help them?
For sure. I'm willing to have a conversation with them. We all are at iWealth. So,
and there's a lot of value in that. Sometimes it's just the conversation around it, especially at the beginning, like having somebody else there to do a little hand holding with you, just to kind of set up the systems and put it into place. There's a ton of value in that, like a ton of value, because once it's set up and you're kind of in the routine of it, it does get easier.
Right.
But at that beginning stage, if somebody wants to take the time to just sit down and sit with somebody that's kind of been there and done that, I think that there's a lot of value to that.
Well, and where I really see it too is on the debt side, Matt. If somebody's coming into the relationship with a lot of debt,
okay,
it's okay to have a third party kind of walk through
audit
that with
it.
them. Yeah, audit it, but also have the conversations about this is how you need to prioritize to get rid of this debt and get out of debt.
Yeah.
And then somebody else can be the bad person, but you have to be honest and upfront and understand you have a problem first, and then communicate it with your soon-to-be spouse.
Yeah.
And then maybe have somebody give you some advice that's been through it.
There you go. All right. Well, we will see you back here next time on the iWealth podcast.
All right. Thanks, Matt.